welcome to another episode of Asexualized, My Asexual Life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you don't know who I am Sandra Bellamy, author of Asexual Perspectives, 47 Asexual Stories, Love, Life and Sex, a celebration of asexual diversity. Link is down below if you want to check it out after this video. And I'm also the founder of asexualise.com and the founder of Asexualise Academy, which is the world's first online training centre and school for asexuals and asexuality. So in today's episode, I want to talk to you about what is the difference between Skyping and Skype dating. Okay, so basically, what's the difference between the normal Skyping and Skype dating? Now, this was a result of a question I got asked in my Asexualized Dating, which is an asexualized dating group for asexuals who are looking for a potential partner. Hi, Andy. Nice to see you. Nice. Lovely to see you. So in my Asexualized Dating group on Facebook, which is specifically for asexuals who never want sex, so it's a very niche group, and for people who are looking for a relationship with another asexual without sex at all, that's what my Asexualized Dating group is for. And I take that group very seriously in the sense of I designed it in order for people to try and find a relationship in it, you know, without sex. And obviously people can talk amongst each other, you know, which is good and encouraged, and you know, chat about different topics to get to know each other in there. Because some people, they're a bit like, well, what do you do in a dating group? Well, obviously you should be talking and, you know, bringing topics up about different hobbies, interests, commenting on other people's posts to, you know, to build a rapport with them, find out what you've got in common, that type of thing. But in my no sex dating groups, hi Heather, nice to see you. In my no sex dating group, Skype dating's encouraged. In fact, it's something I encourage in any of my dating groups. Sometimes I don't talk about it very often, probably not often enough sometimes. And today was something I brought up. Well, it was a question yesterday I asked, like, when was the last Skype date you had and what happened? So this one particular person, she was asking me what a Skype date was. And when I explained, she goes, well, I've been, you know, Skyping people since I was 12 years old. You know, family and, you know, friends, basically, other, you know, people Skype family and friends. So she was like, oh, I've been Skyping people since I was like 12. So, you know, to her, it was like, it's nothing new, right? And to some people, if you do Skype dating, it won't be new. But a lot of people don't actually understand the term Skype dating. They've never heard of it before. And they don't understand the difference between Skype dating and normal Skyping. People Skype, like people have been Skyping for years. They Skype their friends, they Skype their family, they Skype for business, right? But Skype dating is a completely different intention. See, when you talk to a friend, right, on Skype, you talk to a friend normally, you know, with different intention. Your intention is possibly to catch up with them, to find out what's been going on in their life. If they live abroad, then, you know, to catch up with them, to keep in contact with them, to still sort of maintain that family bond, you know. I mean, maybe your parents live in a completely different country, but you still want to be in their life, and vice versa, you know. And, you know, if a member of a family's just had a newborn, you might show that off over Skype, and, you know, and you know, that's one reason why you might use it. If it's a friend, you know, you might have online friends and you want to Skype them, see how they are, catch up with them. You might be doing a business thing together, so you might be, you know, Skyping each other. You might be recording an interview on Skype. Skype's used for business for recording interviews. You know, you might be having a Skype group. So again, that might be something that you've got as a hobby interest group, or you may Skype someone for a business group. We've got a current UK activism asexual group, which is essentially the group from the UK Asexuality Conference, where we keep talking about asexuality and what we're going to do to you know, to raise more awareness of it. And we talk about different asexuality topics in there, you know, like to do with raising awareness basically, and what's going on in the world, you know, with other people raising awareness, all that type of thing. So that's an ongoing group. It's always there. We can pop in wherever we want. And, you know, some people work together on projects, which could be like a business, a hobby, or just like mutual friendship benefits. You know, like you might do some sort of project, your friend might do the other. Like Martin, who watches this channel quite a bit. I never use Skype Laugh Out Loud. Oh, bless you, Heather. Martin, who edited my videos for the UK Asexuality conference, before we went to the conference together, we were Skyping to get to know each other. We were also talking about projects and stuff, like, and we sometimes use Skype to share things that we might want to download, or things that he might have done some editing, loaded it up to YouTube, and then he sent me the link, a private link. I went and, well, an unlisted link, I went and watched it and told him what needed to be changed. And so that's like working on projects together, like a YouTube video. Do you see what I mean? So people use Skype, you know, for loads of different things. They use it, you know, for years. And the person in my asexuality group, my dating group, she didn't understand the difference between that and Skype dating. To her, it's you know, there's no difference, but there is a huge difference, and that's the intention. Because with the intention of Skype dating, it's that you are talking to someone like you're on a date. So instead of you being in an in-person date, so in case you didn't know what a date is when two people come together to meet with the potential that they are going to be in a relationship together, which is very different to speaking to a friend, to having a business meeting, to working on projects together, to having a discussion group. It's different. The intention's completely different. So for example, if you're on a Skype date, you'd be asking similar questions like you would want to do if you were dating someone in person. So, for example, an in-person date, you might go to a restaurant together and you might chat, you know, over a meal, or you might go out for a cup of coffee together, and you'll be chatting, you'll be getting to know each other, but you won't get to know each other. You won't be getting to know each other just on like that, you know, like friendship level, like anything goes level, if you know what I mean, in terms of nothing affects your life. You'll be going with the intention of finding out if you're compatible to be in a potential relationship together with hobbies, interests. Yes, of course you'll build a friendship up, but the dating is different. The intention is completely different. You know, it's different, right? For example, I won't go and say to my friends, in general, right, I won't go and say to my friends, if I'm Skyping them and, you know, we're just catching up, I may talk to my friends about, you know, television programmes, what they've been up to with their jobs and stuff like that. If it's a date, I'll be asking them questions like, okay, so what do you think about having kids? Why would I need to ask, for example, a business colleague that, or someone I was working on a project with, or someone who's just my friend? Why would I need to ask them that? I wouldn't. So there's questions that you ask on a Skype date that you wouldn't be asking a person if it was just a normal Skyping session. You know, you'd be asking what's your view on kids? You want to know if they want kids, because if you don't want them and they do, there's no point in pursuing a relationship with that person. What do you think of marriage? You know, again, I mean, why would you come out and ask your friends? I mean, obviously, if you're friends with someone, you're on a dating site, you know, and you're potentially maybe interested in them, or you're discussing stuff like that, it's a bit different. It always gets a bit tricky if you met a friend through a dating site, but you know, because you might like your friend more than a friend, or you might, the potential might be there, or you might be finding out more about each other. So that's always quite tricky because it's still in a dating environment, yeah? But you know, if you're talking to just a friend normally, you wouldn't normally ask them, what do you think of marriage? It wouldn't be a question that you'd really come out with. And you certainly wouldn't come out with a succession of, so what do you think about children? What do you think about marriage? What do you think about living together? You know, what you might not talk to a friend, for example, what's your preference about physical contact? You know, these are the type of questions you may ask on a Skype date. But that's hugely different to someone that I'm just sitting down, a friend with, I'm catching up with, you know, like, how's your job going? It's a completely different conversation. Do you see what I mean? And for Skype dating, you might get dressed up like a date. You might decide to put on your best clothes, and, you know, like, if you're going out to a restaurant, you might get, you know, if you're emo, you might wear a more formal shirt, or a more or a dress instead of trousers, or you might put more makeup on, or you might, I'm not saying to do this because I'm very natural, I don't usually wear makeup, but you know, you might dress up. I mean, you could have actually date nights if you're in a relationship as well on Skype. So you can have Skype dates while you're in a relationship to keep the relationship fresh and alive, which is very, you know, something you may really want to do, particularly if you've got a long distance relationship. You'll set aside and that'll be like, oh, Thursday's our date night. So you might eat food together like you're in a restaurant eating opposite each other on a date. Do you see what I mean? The intention is completely different. And it's really a Skype date is discovery. It's all about discovering that if that person's suitable to be in a relationship with you, which you wouldn't usually be doing with a friend or unless you fancied them, okay? So sometimes you can have just a conversation with someone. Your intention is to have just a conversation, but you might be checking each other out, because that's what people do sometimes. People invite each other out without saying it's a date, but actually it is, and you both fancy each other, but you're not going to call it a date. So that can happen as well sometimes. So you could, you know, like I've got a friend, right, and I'm Skyping him for the very first time next month. Now we're just friends, and he's the guy from Canada I told you about who speaks to me like every day nearly, but he is foreign, you know, so that is going to be a little bit difficult for me, because I know we're quite close online, but he's foreign, but I know he has no intention of ever coming over here for a relationship. So I just have to know that it's completely out of the question. So, you know, there's not really any point in asking him questions about, I mean, I've already asked him, because I met him through Ace app. Well, I knew him before on Twitter, but I met him through Ace app, which is really a dating thing. So, of course, I've asked him all those questions like, you know, marriage, and I think I asked him kids and stuff, because I asked all that at the beginning, but now we're just friends. But obviously it's going to be difficult for me, because I am a hyper romantic. I am really close to him online, and you know, he is foreign. He's older than me though, which is good. I'm glad he's older, because I get more attracted to younger foreign guys. But I've got to make sure I keep my distance in terms of not Skyping him too much, because he is a demi-romantic, so he doesn't really get attracted that much to people, not enough to want to be in a relationship with, whereas that's completely different for me. So I've got to be careful. So he could be exposed to a person like a female, like he likes females, but he could be like having regular conversations every week with a female, and it doesn't affect him. He doesn't think, oh, I want to go and live with her and be with her. He'll just think it's a really close friendship and really adore that. But with me, I've got to be so careful, because I know I could end up having feelings for him. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously he's foreign. He's, you know, not a bad looking guy. I love his beautiful skin. I get on really well with him. So kind of like he ticks some of the, not just friendship boxes, the potential romantic boxes. So I've got to be very careful with him, not for his sake, but for my sake, you know. It's kind of treading a little bit on date. It's something I want to do. I do want to speak to him on camera, because we get on so well, and I think it will be great. But at the same time, I'm a little bit apprehensive about my hyperromanticism, about my own feelings. I've just got to be careful. So obviously when I'm Skyping him, it's just as a friend. I'm just going to be chatting, asking him questions and stuff. But I don't know if him or me's going to end up like subconsciously asking other questions about potential relationship questions, because there is a little bit of online soulmate chemistry there. So, but as a general rule, when you're Skype dating specifically, you go with the intention of finding out about the other person, discovering more about them, to possibly have a relationship with them now or in the future. And also, like I said, if you are in a relationship with someone already, you might be Skype dating with them every week to keep the relationship fresh and alive. And, you know, because you're doing that with a, you know, and that might be different. I mean, if you're romantic, you might start talking about kissing on a Skype date, which you're not going to be doing with your friends. Usually you're not going to be doing it with a business partner, not going to be doing when you're working on projects. So see how Skype dating is completely different. You know, you might talk about kissing, you know, you might say, oh, I'd love to kiss your lips and stuff like this. If you're really romantic, you might, asexual, you might do that. You might be like, especially if you've got to the stage in the dating where you're, you know, like in a relationship or almost, you might start saying, oh, I love your sweet lips, you're so beautiful, and oh, I'd love to kiss you. Right, you know, if you're in a relationship, you might start saying, oh, I love to kiss you right now. And, you know, and you can make that person feel quite tingly just by the way you talk and about the way you look at them, the way you make them feel. And again, this is completely different to when you're Skyping a friend and just going, hey, how you doing? How's it going? You know, how's your job going? How's your work going? How's family? How's friends? What you've been up to lately? You know, that's kind of more casual, laid back when you talk to a friend. If you're working on projects, you'd be kind of talking about the project, involved in that, you know, engrossed in that. So I'm not saying, like, this person seemed to think I was saying that she was not understanding the difference, but not only that, she seemed to thinking I was saying that Skype dating is the only way you can get to meet someone in the group, which is not true. Obviously, I recommend, you know, like Facebook messaging people and all that type of thing. So Skype dating is not the only thing. But if you haven't met a person, then in real life before, offline, I would highly recommend you Skype date them before you go on an in-person date. Like when I was on Plenty of Fish, right, very briefly last year for about 10 days, right? 10 days I think I was on there because they shut my account down because I said I didn't want sex. And then I said to me, I eventually managed to get hold of someone, and they said, oh yeah, it's because they filter out the word sex. But I don't see how they do, because there's some people that are asexual that have been on there and stayed on there, and they said they didn't want sex in their profile as well because they told me. And, you know, and there's some other people that are on there that are sexual that were saying stuff. So I don't, you know, anyway, the algorithm or whatever on their thing picked me up and then took me off it. I believe everything happens for a reason. I believe I'm not meant to be on there, or not yet anyway. So, you know, I was just trying to find an Indian asexual guy amidst all the Indian sexual guys on there in the UK, possibly. You know, I thought there must be one surely on there. Do you know what I mean? Hiding away, or not even realising he's asexual. So, but yeah, I gave up on that. I didn't go back to it. So, but, you know, I put my profile in the end. I've seen worse pictures on Plenty of Fish, laugh out loud. Oh, bless you. So, yeah, when I was, what was I going to say? When I was, I've completely lost my train of thought now. I was like, gone, boom. So what was I going to say? Oh yeah, when I was on Plenty of Fish in the end, I said that I'd Skype date people before dating them in person, but I only just started putting that in my profile at the end because I thought, oh, why don't I say that with them? Because that's so much better. Because obviously, if the majority is sexual on there anyway, it's much better to talk to someone on camera first, because I don't want to be alone really with a sexual person on a date when I haven't even seen them in person. Do you know what I mean? So when I was on Plenty of Fish, that's what I did. I put in my profile, you know, must Skype date first. And the guys that weren't interested in Skype dating me first, obviously they're interested in just one thing, meeting up to hook up for sex. Because if a guy's really interested in you, even if they're sexual, they'll do you the respect of Skype dating you first. Do you know what I mean? So that's what they'll do. You know, they'll do that. If they won't respect you enough to do that, which is dead easy for them, as the girl said in my group, you know, it's something, Skype is something a lot of people use all the time. So there's no reason why someone can't Skype date you first. It's like if I meet a guy I don't know and he's just an asexual friend online, I'll always say to Skype him first. That's not a date, as in, you know, I'm not, unless we fancy each other, it's not a date. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a guy in Exeter, my city, who didn't come to the last meetup, but he wants to meet me on his own as a friend. But I said that's fine, but we have to video chat first. It doesn't have to be Skype, it can be on Facebook. We Facebook video chat first, because there's a guy I've never met in person before in my life, in my city, who's asexual, you know. But because I've never met him, if I'd met him at a meetup, it'd be different. But as it is on my own, you know, for safety these days, I think it's just better if you Skype someone first. So I always recommend that before meeting up with anyone, even if it's just someone off the internet that's a friend, you know. But the Skype dating, you have the intention of literally discovering if they're suitable for a relationship. So you'll be asking them, like I said, things about marriage, about kids, about if you want to live with someone, about where you might ask the question like, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time, which is related to, you know, like, I don't think you care really what a friend's doing in 5 years' time, but you'd want to know what that type, I mean, you care as in you care when the time comes, but it doesn't affect your life. So it's not a type of question you'd really ask a friend is, hey, what do you see yourself doing in the next 5 years? You know, unless you're a business person, you know, in your business coach, you might ask that to your client or to a friend if you do coaching. It's one of the questions you might ask because you like to get people thinking about their future, but you wouldn't be asking your friends and family that and stuff on a Skyping session, a normal Skyping session. You'd be asking a potential partner that because you want to know that your futures are aligned. Like, there was this guy I had a Skype date with, and he intended to go in the army. And it's like in a year's time, he goes, I didn't get accepted this year, but I'm going next year. I thought, well, that's useless to me. I'm not going to date him, am I? I'm not going to even think about getting a relationship with a guy like that when he's just clearly going to go off and be in the army. It's not a relationship type. In the end, he ended up being sexual anyway. So, yeah, he was a faker. But yeah, so, and he was in the UK and foreign. Damn it. And he really liked me, but yeah, that's because he was sexual. I saw all the sexual stuff he put on his Facebook afterwards. That's how I found out. So, I mean, it was a few years before, but he was on about being in bed with lots of women. For sex, basically, yeah. So yeah, it wasn't good. But, that's the type of thing, like when I was in an online asexual relationship that time with that guy that never worked out in person, we would talk about, kissing and romantic stuff on dating. We were talking about stuff like that, I think, even before we got together, So, but I don't call that a real relationship, though, because I was only with him for about just under a month, and yeah, wasn't suitable for me. So yeah, the intention's different. I just wanted to make this really clear because the people that don't understand, it's very obvious to me how different they are. It's so obvious because you don't speak to a friend or a family member or work colleague or specialist group you're in and ask these types of questions. You basically, what you're doing is you're all the stuff you'd usually do on a date. So say I was in a restaurant with a guy, I'd be asking all these types of questions, about, because I want to know if he's going to be suitable for a relationship for me. If he wants kids and I don't, he's not going to be suitable, is he? But if it's a friend, it's not my business where if it's a he wants and he's with got a wife, it's not any of my business whether they want kids together, is it really? Do you know what I mean? It's not really my, it's not really my interest. I don't need to say to a friend, okay then, so what do you think about marriage? It's not a type of question you'd ask someone unless you're not remotely interested in them. Do you know what I mean? It's just not. So, you wouldn't ask your friends, the people that are already your friends, that in a Skype session, would you? And, friends in general, you just wouldn't ask, you know what I mean? So, it's very, very different. The intention's different. The atmosphere is more questioning the other person about to see if they're right for you or not in a relationship. You might even, like I said, you might have these date nights once you're in a relationship as well, because one of the ways you should be keeping a relationship alive once you're in it is by having a date night. Now, if you are an in-person, say if you're living together, then you should be going out once a week. Like there was a person in my old job, and she lived with her boyfriend, and every night, I think there was a night once a week, and every Thursday night, I think it was, she would always go for a date with her boyfriend. They would always go out for a meal and to the cinema, or at least out for a meal together, and it was their few hours of quality time together every single week. And that is what you should always be doing. If you ever get into a relationship, don't let it stagnate. Don't take each other for granted. Don't just stay in all the time. Go out, make an effort, dress up, just if you're not into dressing up, but, just go out and make an effort for each other, Realise that time and life is so precious, and you shouldn't be taking it for each other for granted. You need to keep the flame alive, you know what I mean? And when people have got their busy lives and they're all over the internet, they might be using it to message their friends. They might be glued to their phone, put the phone aside, put all your internet stuff to one side and just totally be in the moment with that person. Focus on that person, concentrate on them, give them your love, time and attention. And, this is what you should be doing on a Skype date, You shouldn't be, messing around in the background, doing this, that, and the other. You should be literally talking to them and listening to them and discovering if they're the right type of person for you to be in a relationship with. That's what you should be doing. That's the type of thing you should be talking about. And that's the difference between Skype dating and normal Skyping. The intention, what you're talking about is different. Like if you might be having a themed date night, like you might have a date where you're, I don't know, dress up in 40s gear, or you might have a date night where you want to dress up as Superman and Wonder Woman or something. Do you know what I mean? You could do themed date nights. You know what I mean? You can liven it up a bit. You could watch a movie together, as obviously some people do that over Skype as friends, but I know some aromantic asexuals that like to do that as a friends, but in terms of a romantic person, they would usually do that with a romantic partner. Do you know what I mean? If they're long distance, they would watch a movie together with that person, maybe over Skype, and they might do stuff in Skype and split the screen and stuff like that, but it would be more of a romantic nature. They might watch a romantic film together or something like that. So, I just have to say that the intention and the content of a Skype date is somewhat vastly different to the intention and content of if you're Skyping someone for business or Skyping a friend or Skyping a family member. It's very, very different. You wouldn't behave and talk and feel the same. Do you know what I mean? I think it's hard if you're an aromantic person more than a romantic person to understand the difference. But I think you get the message, like you understand that, if it's a Skype date, you are literally talking about all the no deal, the no deals, that deal breakers, sorry, the no deals, like if someone wants to have a kid and I don't, it's a no deal, it's a deal breaker. I cannot be with someone in a relationship that wants kids because I physically don't want children, never want them since 15, and my life is not that way. I don't want to look after kids. If I was going back to looking after anything, it'd be guinea pigs, but at the moment I'm not. I've got my guinea pigs that's over my parents, and that's it. I'm being on my own, living the dream. And the intention's very different, you see. And if a person, like, for example, if there was a guy I went on Skype date with and I asked him, does it like public displays of affection? Again, that's not something I would be asking a friend or a business associate or someone I was just working on a project with over Skype. Do you see what I mean? I'd be asking, what do you think of public displays of affection? And is that something you'd like to do? That type of thing, And so I could find out, because for me, if a guy can't display public to me that he loves me and kiss me in public and hold my hand, I know for loads of people this is not the same, but for me specifically, I need that in a relationship. I cannot be a caged animal having just that at home. I like to be free to kiss, cuddle my guy whenever I damn well feel like it. That's what it's like for me. I just love the freedom. If I can't have the freedom, then I'd rather stay single. Because to me, that's like being single anyway. To me, that's like just being buddies in public, but privately being far more than that. I don't like that idea at all. It really rubs me up the wrong way. It makes me feel horrible. I don't want that type of relationship. Similarly, if a guy's, not going to connect with me on Facebook and he doesn't want to be seen with me on Facebook, then, go. For a relationship, no good to me whatsoever. It's just no good to me whatsoever. I need someone who's proud to be with me. I need someone who'll go out to wherever we're going out to, and if I want to snap a pic of us on a roller coaster together and put it on my Facebook, I was like, yeah, cool, we're meant to be together. You're my soulmate, best friend, let's share us to the world, like with a pic type thing, you know what I mean? It's just like, if some guy's not prepared to do that or even wanting to do that, then it's just no good. I don't want to be this confined person that's like stuck in a cage. I just hate that, I'm not that type of person. And I know there's tons of people that are not the same as me. There's tons of asexuals that are introverted. There's tons of people that don't want that. But, I think if you're proud to be with your partner, it's something you should do. It's the way I believe it should be for me and my partner. That's what I believe, I've got a best male, well, he's one of my best asexual friends, I guess. Not best as in don't talk to him that regularly, because he's got a girlfriend now. But, but he's always putting pictures with him and his girlfriend wherever they go, the food they eat, the places they go together, and he's always praising his girlfriend, well, fiance now, because they're getting married in 2020, and he's always with her. He's always on social media with her, and he's always very much, with her. I knew when he found a girlfriend, the girl would be so lucky to be with him, because I knew that, I mean, me and him weren't suitable to be together, you know, when we were just friends years ago. In a relationship, we weren't suitable, even though we were both romantic. But he's found a really beautiful girl for him that's perfect now, and she lights up his life, and he's really happy. And I couldn't be more pleased for him, you know. But I knew when he got with a girl that the girl would be so lucky to have him, because he's one of those guys that's completely dedicated to just one woman. He's not like impolite to other women. He'll talk to other women, you know, like if you know, he'll talk to other women, but because he's got a girlfriend, a fiance now, he'll keep it minimal, you know? It'll be minimal, very minimal talking if you message him. He doesn't message me anymore because he's got a girlfriend, and I understand he's one of the type of guys that's not interested in other women. He's dedicated to that one woman. He loves her to bits. She's his world, and I absolutely adore that type of guy. I respect him. I think that type of guy is a beautiful guy, you know. I love that type of guy to be with me, to be honest, not him, because obviously me and him weren't right for each other back then. And you know, he's the type of guy who likes traveling. He's got a place in Spain, and he wanted someone to go caravanning with him, go to places at the weekend with him, and she loves doing that, and they're just perfect together, right? But I'd like someone with the qualities of where, you know, he puts his woman first, and he's proud to be seen with her, and they're like very much a unit. They're very much gelled together, you know, and they're very much soulmates and best friends, and you know, go on adventures together and do lots of things together. And, you know, they like the same things, and they're interested in the same things, and they like eating food and stuff. They talk a lot about food, both of them, which is obviously quite an asexual joke, you know, about, you know, like having cake is better than sex, you know. And a lot of asexuals love their food because, you know, we're not really into sex, so we like to share food together rather than our genital parts. Do you know what I mean? So I just think that's so wonderful that they do post about food, and it's like they're not bothered that they love eating tons of cream cakes together. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, that's pure love, you know, not worrying about your weight all the time, not worrying about what you look like, just loving each other for who you are, and enjoying the moment with each other, and loving, you know, you for who you are. Do you know what I mean? And I just love their relationship, you know. They are really inspirational. I mean, they're both asexual, you know. They're not into sex, but they're both romantic, as far as I know, Catherine is. And you know, they're just gorgeous together, you know, and they're just wonderful. They're just wonderful, and they are a true inspiration to every asexual that's looking for a relationship, because you can find true love. But if he hadn't have gone out of his way and travelled all over the UK to get his woman, he would not have got her. And that is a life lesson. I see time and time again people going, oh, well, there's no one in my city, there's no one in my town, there's no hope for me, I'm going to be lonely forever, right? Well, if you sit there and just keep saying that over and over again for the next 5 years, yeah, what are you going to get? The same thing. Because even if you get someone in your city or town, it's very unlikely you're going to be the perfect match for each other anyway. Like, I have people in my city, right? I'm lucky I do, right? Fortunate. I didn't know anyone who was asexual in my city years ago, but now I do. And so, you know, I know a girl and I know 2 guys. One of them I haven't met in person yet. The other one, I know a guy outside, like an hour and a half away now by bus. And then I have a friend who watches this channel called Andy. Hello, Andy. He lives in a place called Western Supermare, which is like, yeah, it's not too far away, which is great. So I can see him, which is lovely. And you know, and so it's just really, really good. You know, it's just amazing, and it's just fantastic, you know. I just think it's incredible. So basically, my friend, he lives in London, and his girlfriend lives in Bath. So they live quite a way away from each other, and he travels down to pick her up. As far as I know, he picks her up and takes her home. I know he definitely takes her home every weekend. And eventually, when they get married, she's going to move in and live with him just a few months before they get married in 2020. So they are quite a few miles away from each other. Quite a distance, you know. But he travelled all the way around the country, going to different meetups for about 3 months nearly solid, I think it was, to meet the love of his life. And he travels to be with her because he knows she's worth it. He doesn't complain. He doesn't moan about it. He's happy to do that for her and to pick her up and to spend time with her and be with her because that's the love of his life, and that's the way it should be. But you have to understand that it's very highly unlikely that you will meet someone in your city or your town. And it either means that someone's got to come into your life later on where they're prepared to move, or you're prepared to move, or you're prepared to commute and travel to each other. It's just the way it is. There's no point sitting there wishing life was different. We can all do that, and we do that. But, there's no point in doing that because it's not going to work, is it? You know what I mean? You have to get out of your comfort zone. He was the one who said I changed his life because, he said if it hadn't been for my asexual meetup, he would have never gone to the other ones and met the love of his life, and I'm so happy I could do that for him, One day I'll meet the love of my life. I don't know where the heck he is, but with me it's kind of awkward because I like foreign guys and there's not many of those who are heteromantic in the UK. Especially not Indian. So it's, it's kind of crazy, but I hope you understand the difference now between Skype dating and normal Skyping. Is the intention is completely different. You're asking different questions to find out about, you're asking them questions. You're like, in a way, you're like interviewing them for a potential relationship, So it's really important, and obviously if you can meet someone in person for a date, even better. But I would always recommend, like I said, if you're meeting someone on their own, Skype them first. Skype date them first, or even if it's a friend, Skype them first. Because, obviously if it's a friend, then you just need to say, tell me a bit more about yourself. Because, like, for example, the guy in my city I haven't met yet, right? I will video chat with him. If he comes to meet me on my own before meeting me in group, I will video chat with him. I've already told him that. He's cool with that. So I will be asking him questions about himself, but it won't be of a romantic nature. It'll be just like, oh, hi, nice to meet you, how you doing? Might be like, when did you first find out you're asexual, and and how have you been getting on? Because I know he was seeing a girl but he stopped seeing her because she was overtly sexual. But I might probably ask him stuff about his asexuality when he first became asexual and first knew it, and what like his hobbies and interests as a friend. You know what I mean? I won't be asking him the questions about marriage, kids, and living together, and public displays of affection. I won't be asking him questions like that. Do you see the difference? So yeah, it's just like, it's completely different. It's just completely different feelings, intention, meaning. Do you know what I mean? It's like, there's this saying in the entrepreneur world, nothing has meaning. Nothing has meaning other than the meaning you give it, and it's true. So, and nothing has an intention other than the intention you give it. But it's the intention that makes a difference in your life. It's the intention that makes a difference with every part of your life, It's like when you get up in the morning, what is your intention? Is it your intention to go for a walk? Is it your intention to meet up with a friend? Is it your intention to do the shopping? Is it your intention to go out clubbing? Is it your intention to go to the cinema? Is it your intention to get all the laundry done? Is it your intention to have a date? Is it your intention to do some work? What is your intention for the day? Intention is everything. It leads your life, and it leads the thoughts and the feelings you have. Like, if my intention in the morning is to get up and do X amount of work, and then the end of the day I haven't done it, I feel deflated sometimes, because my intention that I had wasn't completely met. I tried my best, but if I'm praising myself and giving myself self-love, I'll be like, yeah, that's a really good job, well done. Your intention was to do some work. You didn't manage the whole lot, but you did some, and I'm really proud of you, you see? But it's all to do with intention. If I just, rolled out of bed for the day and it'd be like, okay, yeah, didn't think of anything. Do you know what I mean? My day would work out completely different to if I'd have been intentional about it. If I had no intention of, no intention of going shopping for 3 days for food, and I ran out of food in my home, it'd be completely different. You'd be like, whoa, what are you doing? If I went to see a friend and then partway through just left all of a sudden without saying, why, I just up and left in the middle of a meal, do you know what I mean? That wasn't very intentional, that I intended to stay for the whole meal, was it? And so I just think you understand the gist of this is that it's all to do with intention. It will affect, whatever intention you have for something or someone, it will have a different emotion attached to it, a different feeling attached to it, a different atmosphere attached to it. Like I said, I was using that example of an analogy, really. Like if I left halfway through someone's meal because I had no intention of staying for the whole meal, and I just upped and left, the person would be feeling like, what the heck is that? Why have they gone? What are they doing? They just left me. Huh? Do you know what I mean? It's like, you have to have intentions for what you're doing. And the intention for a Skype date is completely different to the intention where you're just catching up with like a family member, a friend, or you're doing a business meeting. Do you see what I'm saying? So I just want to stress this because it's something I'm really passionate about explaining, because there is a huge difference. And it kind of does annoy me to think that someone is suggesting that just Skyping a friend is the same as Skype dating. Yes, if you don't know what you're doing with Skype dating, you could just see it as a chat with a friend. If you don't understand what Skype date is, if you don't understand that it's actually talking to someone with a potential relationship, and you're trying to discover more about them to find out if they're suited to that potential relationship. If you don't understand that, then yes, Skyping can be just seen as, I'm just Skyping, because you've got no intention, you've got no direction, you haven't prepared your questions for asking them for a potential relationship. Do you see what I mean? So you don't know what you're doing, really. In effect, you've got no roadmap. You don't know where you're going. You're just chatting. But if you really, know what your intention is for Skype dating, your intention is to find out if that person's suitable for a relationship. It's completely different. But to put someone who doesn't know what they're doing, do you know what I mean, who has no intention in their mind of it being a relationship, yeah, it'll just be a chat, won't it? Because the intention's not there, the direction's not there, you're not having any structure to it. Do you know what I mean? So I hope this video has been useful, helpful, insightful for you. If it has, please give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. And if you've got any questions about Skype dating, I'd love you to post them in the comments below. If it's something you've thought about trying before, you still don't really understand, you want some more clarification, just post down below in the comments, because I love helping you out on this channel. I really want to, emphasize how different it is to normal just Skyping a friend or having a business meeting, But again, there's people Skype for all different reasons. And like I said, they're all different intentions. A business meeting, to work on a project, to Skype a friend, to catch up with a family member. They're all different intentions. And therefore, the conversation is going to take a different direction. And you're going to find out different things about them based on what you want to know, based on what you're asking them, So what I would say in your life is, please always live your life with intention. If you want to find out more about a person's Skype dating, I do highly recommend, because it's good to see a person over video rather than just showing up in each other's lives for a date when you have no idea what their person looks like. Some people online who are on dating sites and in dating groups, they have got pictures of themselves when they're much younger. Like the friend that I'm Skyping in February, I know an up-to-date picture of him, but when I connected on Skype with him yesterday, I said, you looked so different in that picture. He's like, yeah, that was 8 or 9 years ago. And so it's like, even him, who's a good friend, he's got a completely different picture. He looks like, obviously I get attracted to younger guys. So obviously in his younger picture, he looks very different and kind of a look more like I would go for, because obviously I like younger guys. He's older than me, but when he was that age, he looked younger, obviously. So do you know what I mean? And his more up-to-date picture, he looks older. Do you see what I'm saying? So you've just got to be, like, if you were thinking of a person, like, I mean, it's not so important if you just like them as a friend, but if you're thinking about meeting up with someone and that person's got a picture and they don't look like their picture anymore, so you know what I mean, it's just like, it's not very good. So you need to get them on camera and see what they're like. Someone could be 80 years old and they're calling themselves 20 and stuff like that. They need, someone could be like looking very handsome, gorgeous, clean cut, when really now, like 10 years later, they've got tattoos all over themselves. My friends have tattoos, so don't think I'm thinking all tattoos are bad. But this is like really stereotypical, isn't it? So maybe I should not use that analogy. But if you love tattoos, that's going to be great. But I don't like tattoos, right? So not for me, and not if I was with a guy, I prefer him not to have tattoos. I don't like the look of tattoos. But my friends do have tattoos. I have no problem with other people having tattoos. But do you know what I mean? But say I don't know. Say the person 10 years later had tattoos, and he had a really sort of aggressive looking face, and he had like, I don't know, pictures don't give me justice. Oh, bless you, Heather. Do you know what I mean? And say he just looked like completely different. He went from sweet, innocent looking guy to like this guy who's tough, like built like a brick house, and you know, got muscles the size of King Kong, and got tattoos all up his arm, tattoos all up his neck, and you know, looks like he's on drugs. And do you know what I mean? People can change, you know. It's much better to actually speak to the person on camera, you know. I spoke to a foreign guy years ago on Skype who lived in this country, and you know, straight away he was asking me, it was a Skype date because we were talking about potential relationship, and straight away he was wanting to come down to my place and share my bed. It's like, this is the first time I've spoke to you on Skype. And he's all about, because he lived in Manchester, and it's way away, and I can't get on I don't want someone in Manchester, an asexual person in Manchester, because to go to Manchester costs about £246. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? You have to stay over there. I've been once to Manchester, right? And you can't go there in a day unless you want to spend just 2 hours there, right? Because years ago I went there, and that was the only way you could do it, is spend like between 12 and 2 there and then come back again. There's no way you can spend the whole day in Manchester from the city I live in. So it's like 246 quid, I think it was, for a return on the train, like if I was going to see this guy. And it's like, I just can't afford to do that. It's not sustainable to have a relationship where you're spending, you know, paying £250 a month or whatever to see someone. Do you know what I mean? And he had a car, so he could easily come down. But instead of booking into a hotel, he wanted to come and share my bed. And I didn't even know this guy. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. It's really weird. Then his friend connected with me on Skype. Then he Skyped me once more, and then that was it. We weren't suitable, and he didn't talk to me again. He kind of stopped, you know, and oh, it was just weird. It was very weird that his friend was... like wanted to connect with me as well, and all of a sudden they both went out of the picture. It's just really weird. But yeah, that was a very weird scenario. But do you see what I mean? You don't know what a person's like, because he wasn't like this when he was talking to me in message, but as soon as he got on the Skype with me, that was it. So I Skyped a person from Twitter years ago as well, and that was supposed to be just a friend, you know, but we were meeting, but I had the impression that he fancied me. So kind of when we were talking though, he wasn't a nice person. So this is why I say, you know, even if you're meeting up with a person who's a friend off the internet, you know, you should be Skyping with them first. Skyping should be your first port of call. Or, you know, it doesn't have to be Skype. You could, as long as you're video chatting with someone that you don't know off the internet, because therefore you've got that safety protection up, you know. If you're Skyping or video chatting with someone, then you've got the benefit of walking away from them, switching it off, saying goodbye to them if they turn out to be nasty and horrible to you. Do you know what I mean? Or they turn out to be someone that's just completely different to that picture, who you didn't, you know, you just wouldn't touch with a barge pole. Do you see what I mean? And sometimes you can tell. I mean, if a person's on a video chat with you and they're looking like this, like if I was looking away with that now, it doesn't feel nice, does it? If I'm looking like this and I'm fiddling with stuff down here, I mean, sometimes I look at my messages, but I tell you I'm doing that because I'm reading stuff out. So that's obviously got to be accepted, that I have to read messages out sometimes. So I'm doing it down here. I'm not going to lift it up there because I'm being, you know, I'm protecting people's identity. I don't want to reveal all the people's identity that I'm talking about, because it's not fair on them, you know. I try to use examples of my life, but keep a lot of their private stuff private and don't give too much away. But it's like, if I was doing this now and I was looking away and I started fiddling up here with things like this, you know, it's rude, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And when I've been on Skype sessions where, like, you know, a person's going like this and then they disappear. You know, I've even been on Skype with friends like that, and they do that though. Not you know, but you know, if you're on a Skype date where you're seeing how attentive they are to talking to you, because they're supposed to be really interested in you, really fancy you, and all of a sudden they're sort of looking away and they're like, like this, you know, they're either bored or they're not interested or they got something on their mind, you know what I mean? Or they're not being truthful. So, you know, you can tell a lot by video chatting with someone, a lot, you know. And it's really important. I mean, that's why people do Skype and video chat for a number of things, you know. So obviously it's not just used for Skype dating. Like I said, it's used for tons of different things. And video chatting is a very powerful way you can connect with someone, you know. So even in business, people use video chat a lot. When you're doing, you know, coaching sessions, you can do them via Skype. You know, for your business, you know, like if someone wants an asexual coaching session with me, they can do it via Skype. If someone wants to consult with me about something asexual, you know, and say it's a business thing, you know, they're doing a project about asexuality, then they can Skype with me. Do you see what I mean? They could do an interview with me over Skype. They don't have to be in person. But that's why I'm saying the intention is completely different. Skype dating intention is completely different to the other intentions. It's all to do with intentions. And it's all to do with the questions you ask, the atmosphere you create. Like, you know, I would, like I said, you know, if you're romantic particularly, you might start talking about kissing. You might, you know, like if you fancy each other, you might start talking about cuddling each other and all sorts, you know, to give each other that tingly feeling. So it's kind of weird because obviously if you're, say you do Skype date a sexual person, right, which is something I haven't talked about during this time with you. We've been talking like over 50 minutes now, but I haven't really brought up the fact of Skype dating with a sexual person. Okay, I've really just talked about Skype dating in an asexual context. So say you're Skype dating a sexual person, right? Obviously it gives you that bit of protection that you're not just going out meeting someone that you don't really know, which could lead to physical stuff that you don't want. Secondly, you can see the way they look at you as to how sexually attracted they are. And thirdly, you know, like even if you're asexual, you might still like the flirtation. You know, I know Heather said she doesn't like flirting, but some asexuals do still like to flirt. And one way you can do that more powerfully is through video, because you can see the person's body language, you can see their eyes, you can see what they say, you know, you can see their facial expressions, you know. I mean, I've never participated in video sex, but quite a lot of people do it apparently. And yeah, obviously being asexual, I haven't, but I say being obviously asexual, I run an asexual Facebook dating group for demisexuals and grey asexuals as well. And obviously greys and demis may want sex upon occasion, depends, you know, what their situation is. And one of the people that is in that group, he's tried phone sex before. The mind boggles why an asexual would want to do that, but we're all different, you know. Some people who are asexual do not mind some sex stuff, right? They don't mind that. So, you know, like, but video chat is something that's quite common apparently with sexual. So if you are Skyping a sexual person, just be prepared that you don't want anything like they start doing sex stuff on video. So make sure that they know the intention is, you know, to chat to them, to get to know each other as a potential relationship. You don't want them to think that, you know, they might start, you know, doing stuff sexual with you on video chat. I just have to let you know that, because not everyone who's sexual is got the best intentions. Like again, this is all to do with intentions, you know. So it's a huge thing. I've spoke to a friend who's tried video sex, a sexual friend, just to get an idea of what goes on, because I haven't got a clue, because obviously I'm asexual and it's something that's never interested me, video sex whatsoever. I know, even when I was with my ex, who was in a sexual relationship with me, I was in a sexual relationship with him. I did have sex with him, and I didn't do anything like that. I wouldn't even dream of it. It was not even in our chat or anything like that, which I'm glad about. But, you know, you can have sexting. There's something called sexting when people talk sexual stuff in a text as well. So with video sex, I'll tell you, I mean, I know it's not really interesting in terms of we're not interested in this, but I just thought you might like to know what goes on, just, you know, just like in general. I'm not going to go into like amalgamated details of this, because a lot of us don't want to know this, but I think it's just important that you know this, especially if you're asexual on sexual dating sites. This is, you really just need to know. And even on Twitter, right, I've had a woman come on Skype through Twitter wanting video sex with me. It's disgusting. Do you see what I mean? You have to know what they mean by this. And in brief, basically, I'm not going to go into graphic detail because I don't really know. Obviously, I haven't done that myself. But basically, it's when the people touch they're touching themselves in front of each other. That's basically, in a nutshell, what it's about. That was very clearly explained quickly, wasn't it? Moving on. But yeah, that's what they're doing to get each other aroused, turned on, and all the rest of it. Yeah, so that's what they do it for. So yeah, it's just like, it's not something I'm into, but I have to say, gross topic, Heather. Yeah, but I mean, I said it, very simplistic. I didn't go into graphic details, but it's important to know for any asexuals that are watching this channel that are on sexual dating sites. Like, I was on Plenty of Fish, wasn't I, for 10 days, right? Plenty of Fish is a highly sexual dating site. The majority of people on there are sexual. However, there are some asexuals that have registered on there because, we want to give it a go, because some people who are asexual, like a lot of people, they know that a lot of the time, with the population being hugely sexual, that, to give themselves a better chance of finding a relationship, they put themselves on sexual dating sites because they live in the hope that someone can love them without sex. Do you know what I mean? It's really difficult for us, It's hard. I could easily get a foreign younger guy sexual boyfriend, easily. But it's not something I want because I don't want the sex, I don't want to do that ever again. I'm not interested in it. But it's really important because obviously if you are on a sexual dating site, right, you might get someone asking you for video sex, or you might get them asking you Skype date thinking it's sexual. So you have to just make it clear that if you're Skype dating a sexual, it is not in any way a sexual thing for you. So I've had some guys who I've talked to about Skype dating, and I can't remember in the past, but they were implying that we were going to do sexual stuff. And I'm like, no, that's not why I'm Skyping you. Do you know what I mean? And I've actually had it where I've been on a Skype date and it has become a lot more, the person's been asking me loads of questions about what I like doing sexually. And I get that to a certain extent, that with sexuals that are on the more, with asexuals that are all on more of the sexual end of the spectrum, they might want to do some sexual acts. But at the end of the day, when you're just getting to know someone, it's a bit like not going to be a very good thing in your interest. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to be very good if you start the relationship or potential relationship like that. It's not a very good thing. So I just have to let you know that this goes on, not because I want to, not because I want to gross you out, but because there are different types of asexuals that watch this channel. There's a lot of aromantics, those who lack romantic attraction, those who are not bothered about sex whatsoever. But there are also a number of romantic asexuals, and some romantic asexuals might give it a go with a relationship with a sexual. And they might give it a go of video chatting with someone who's sexual, which is basically like a Skype date in effect, or a video date. They're the intentions there for a potential relationship, and you have to know that they can say certain things to you which might give away the fact that their intention is they think it's going to be a sexual thing. And like this particular person, which was actually the guy I was talking about earlier, who turned out to be sexual, not asexual, he was asking me all sorts of questions about what I like to do in terms of touching, And I just think he was getting a thrill out of it. And that's the problem. Some sexual people, they get a huge thrill out of asking you sexual stuff. Like if I'm on an asexual dating site, right, and me and an asexual person talks about touching, it's very much matter of fact, It's very much like, so do you like any touching in a relationship? And it's very more clinical, more a discussion, more, more formal. It's very much different the way it's spoken about. And that comes across in message, is there's no oomph, there's no like, oh, I really want that there. It's all very matter of fact. You like this, I don't like this. You like that, I don't like that. It's very, very much more clinical in that way. With a sexual, it's full on in your face, like, oh, I want you. You can tell by the eyes, and that's why it's very important to Skype date someone or video chat with them. I mean, you might start video chatting with a so-called friend, but you might realise they do fancy you, because obviously they might be looking at you in a certain way with their eyes and doing certain body language things that might indicate they like you more than a friend when you Skype them. And that, that just happens sometimes. It happens when you meet someone for the first time. You go out on a meet up, you know, you just say you're going to be friends, but really it's a date, and no one says it's a date, because it's like, well, you both fancy each other, you know what I mean? You're both getting to know each other because you really like each other more than a friend. So it's kind of like, you know, there is that there is a grey area of, like, you know, the intentions may not be unspoken intentions, but you'll see from the way the conversation goes where that person's interested you a bit more than a friend usually. So yeah, just be aware that if you are asexual, you're on sexual dating sites, that if you do Skype date, make sure you tell them, you know, this is a chat to get to know each other better, to see if we'd be suitable for each other, or, you know, or just to make sure, you know, that they know that there's going to be no sexual stuff, you know, it's just going to be chatting as a friend, you know, even when it's sexual on a sexual dating site, even though you're looking for a relationship, you just set the intention like, yeah, I just want to talk to you to get to know you better and see what things we've got in common. So they know that there's no sexual stuff involved, you know. I mean, hopefully if you get a sexual, they won't be so sexual that, you know, that's all that's on their mind. But, you know, I have to say with myself personally, I attract the highly sexual guys. I just do. And so I know that when the person who's sexual, hi aces, oh, hiya, nice to see you. Have you changed your name? So, you know, I have to say that I attract the highly sexual guys. So a lot of the time, you know, I can tell by what they're talking to me about and the way the conversation's going, if they're really that sexual person, which usually they are with me, sadly. So it's really difficult. But like I said, if you are asexual and you're looking to date sexuals, then please just set the intention when you first start talking to them on video chat, you know, because you don't want anything happening that you don't want to happen, you know. But the good thing about being behind the camera and video is you can always press the off button if they do anything you don't like. That's it. Cut it dead. Forget about it. You know, obviously, if they're doing something you like and you don't like and you've got the chance to say, look, I don't like that, you can end it there. But you can also just switch them off. That's the beauty of it. So, stay safe, people. Until next time, embrace your quirky and each other's. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Please share this video with a friend or whoever may benefit. Let's spread the word of asexuality. Let's spread the word of what Skype dating is in comparison to normal Skyping. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Heather. And thank you for the other person that's just tuned in. That looks like someone else. You look like a Yube. Is it a Yube that I'm talking to? But you've got a different name on here. Thank you for tuning in anyway. And thank you for everyone else that's tuned in today. And don't forget, like I said, share this video. If someone's like, what the heck is Skype dating? Isn't it just chatting to a friend like you normally do on Skype? No, 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 no. Get them to watch this video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already. I really appreciate I've got 3 thumbs up, so that's awesome already. Brilliant. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live like now, so you'll get notified straight away and you can come on the live stream from the beginning. And don't forget, yeah, the bell icon is just below the subscribe button, so hit that, so that goes straight to basically say, yes, it's a Yube. Oh, thanks for tuning in, Yube. Yes. So that's brilliant. So yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for joining me as well. And yeah, and don't forget to, you know, share this channel with people, get more people to subscribe, and just enjoy life being ace, because you are ace. I love you to bits. Anyway, take care. Good night, everyone. And I will see you on the next